I'm John. Thanks for having me. I work at Genesis Products. We are a wood products manufacturer. John and I started the company back in 2002. We make wood things that look like wood but aren't. It's kind of deceptive. But we do a lot of things where we try to deploy sort of a recycled process, recycled panels. We didn't do so good at the beginning trying to sell recycled items, so we thought maybe let's do a green certification. You can see on the slide there's lots of them. There's like 444 as of yesterday. Too many, really, and they ran out of trees, and I couldn't design anything that looked like a different tree. So we thought, maybe let's teach sustainability. So we did the whole typical three-legged stool. You've got the economic, the social, the environmental, and then this teeny little green thing in the middle that's supposed to be really good. And we thought that might not work as well because we sell so much wood and wood environmentally related products. Let's re-nest the circles. So we put the environment as the big sphere, and then social and the economic inside that. So that made a little bit more sense for us. And then we tried to figure out how do we teach this to ourselves, to our customers, to our vendors. We came up with a really cool, well, we didn't come up with it, we found it. It was a framework called the natural step, invented by, I believe, a Swedish doctor. A great, very elegant, very simple way of evaluating how things should be measured in terms of economic, environmental, and social impacts. So there's this conditions, as you can see on the screen, like how much are we digging things out of the earth? How much are we putting things into the earth that the earth didn't make? And also how much are we destroying the Earth's processes? And then the last one, which is really important too, is how happy are we? What are we doing with the people and the happiness factor of people as it relates to the rest of that? So if you think about a violation of that, it's actually kind of simple. The spill cam that we all saw in the Gulf, we see the big news articles and on the internet and everything else of the washed up bottles on the ocean. Even things like a guitar with a really exotic veneer. That's not so good. That's a tree that probably was really old that didn't need to be a guitar. And even the last one, which Apple and even Walmart have dealt with a lot, which is the overseas labor, the injustice in the sweatshops. Very, very harsh conditions and things that a lot of companies have had to deal with. You can't read this slide, and that's okay. It's full of chemicals and really icky things. This is a very common food item, and I try to work this into my normal talks. People always guess, it's a Twinkie, it's an apple. It's actually mother's breast milk from the US. It was a study done about 5 or 10 years ago. That's the chemicals found in a woman's breast milk. We're eating our trash is kind of the takeaway here. And we're trying not to do that, and that's a good thing. We're trying to get away from all the things that we're absorbing just indirectly. And we look at things like a life cycle assessment. Where did this come from? How is it made? Where does it go when it dies? And at Genesis, we try to evaluate all of our things based on that concept and that construct. It's kind of like if you took a bamboo cutting board and compare it to an oak cutting board. Bamboo is really sexy, it's cool, it's green, but what if it was made by a 13-year-old kid in China on a 13-hour day? So it's not so green, it's not so sustainable. So what we tried to do is take all that stuff and mash it into something, and we call it the Genesis Project. About 4 years ago, we took 7,000 poplar trees, and poplar is a tree that we use a lot of actually overseas. We took little tiny trees, planted 7,000 of them in a brownfield in Elkhart, Indiana. We partnered with EPA, the Delta Institute, some folks locally, and then we had alcoholics from the Faith Mission plant the trees. It was actually quite dramatic. A guy got shot the second day we were planting them across the street. It was kind of in the middle of the projects. It was awful, but it was also amazing, and we had a really good time. We planted trees on a polluted waste site that was sitting for 60 years. And the very fact of someone getting shot is not funny, but sort of ironic. This blighted community is not even, there's just nothing good that was happening there and just this desolation. What we tried to do with the Genesis Project is bring that remediation aspect into all aspects of the system conditions. We're trying to better the earth. The trees suck up the bad things. The trees take away volatile organic chemicals and compounds. They absorb mercury. I asked one of the alcoholics on the third day what he learned. He said, you know, I've never done anything creative in my life, and for the last 3 days I've been planting trees and I've been creating. It was kind of cool. And it was really meaningful to me because I realized the remediation happens in many different ways, but the Genesis Project is about legacy, and it's about really doing the right thing on the smallest of levels and on the biggest of levels. And it's about what happens in 50 years and 100 years when companies are done being companies. We don't want them to be digging up the dumb things we did just so we could be a good company. And the whole point of being a legacy-driven company is that we want to say, it's okay to design great products, it's okay to design good things, but we need to put it in the nested idea of sustainability. And that's why we're doing what we're doing with the Genesis Project, and I want to thank you guys for your time. And yeah, that's some of the good examples there of what RVs and things that look like really cool vacationing vehicles can look like when they're properly designed with good materials and sustainable products. Thank you very much.